Welcome to the Breaking Hyman podcast. I'm the host, Morgan. My guest,
Abe Parr.
And you're not from around these parts, Abe. Where are you living these days?
I am not. I am in California, in Los Angeles,
Yeah.
Southern California.
That's awesome. So, you do stand up there. Do you still do like improv sketch kind of stuff?
A little bit. I'm more sketch than improv
Okay.
at this point, but I have thought about, and I am. A few of my friends are thinking about starting an improv troupe again.
Oh hell yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, and the cool thing is I'm right by 2 or 3 great improv schools, Groundlings,
Oh, okay.
UCB.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, so
That's
lot.
awesome.
That's a great thing about LA is a lot of opportunity to kind of do comedy.
Well, I mean, and it's where all that shit's not started necessarily, but I mean,
Yeah.
Groundling started in LA, right?
I think,
Or was that more Chicago?
I think that was
or New York?
Chicago.
Okay.
UCB, I believe, has LA origins and then New York presence.
yeah.
And
That's
I'm not,
crazy,
a second city, I believe, was Chicago also.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Because Groundlings, what is that? That's like Pee Wee came out, or Paul Rubens and
Yeah.
Elvira, Phil Hartman.
Yep.
And then of course UCB is like Amy Poehler
Yep,
and Matt
yep.
Matt
All the-
Walsh, the good Matt Walsh, not the bad Matt Walsh.
All of the SNL.
Oh
alums,
yeah, it's
essentially.
It's crazy to me. So, and you were telling me the other night you've taken classes at UCB.
I have, yeah.
This is legal, by the way.
This is legal weed, unfortunately. Come to California, love smoke. Legal weed there too.
Yeah, you can smoke legal PCP.
Yeah, you can do everything.
You got
dude.
angel dust here? Yeah, it's legal, man.
Yeah, as long as you're not, even if you're robbing people, it doesn't
Yeah,
matter. As long as it's under $1,000, you can get away with it.
That's fucking insane.
That is insane. That's gonna change. And I've seen some crazy stuff talking
Yeah.
about California.
Yeah.
We'll come back to the comedy conversation,
Yeah.
but I remember last year I was at a Dick's Sporting Goods, right?
Okay, yeah.
And I'm buying some sporting equipment.
Yeah.
And there's a guy walking around, puts a bunch of
Yeah.
stuff on,
Oh, yeah.
clothes on,
Yeah.
walks out the door. And the 2 people that are sitting there, security guards, all they say to him, they go, "Sir, the register's that way."
Have a nice day.
And then he walks by and they look at each other and they shrug.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Oh,
aren't you-
well.
Yeah, aren't you guys going to go? I turn to the security people. I'm like, aren't you guys going to prosecute him?
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we don't do that for liability reasons anymore. If it's under $1,000, we don't chase after them. We don't do anything.
Crazy. You just find, but you got to find out, is it 1,000 before tax or after?
Right,
It's like,
right.
shit, you got me. I'm
Right.
10 cents over.
Right. Well, it's going to change. But the funny thing is, right as I had that conversation,
Yeah.
then the checkout girl goes to me. She's like, that'll be $200 for what you're buying. And I'm like,
Fuck.
Is it really? Is it really? You're not going to do anything.
Cash, credit,
Or the 5-finger discount. Yeah. Or the 5-finger
Goddamn,
discount.
yeah.
Like, you really
That's
have the nerve
crazy.
to tell me that
Yeah.
you're going to charge me money.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. It's like, and we have to mark up the prices because all these fuckers stealing
right,
shit.
Right. And then I
God.
paid it like a little
Yeah.
bitch.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So.
Because, you have morals.
Morality, yeah. Morality.
man.
Fucking,
I know.
I wish I didn't sometimes.
Me too. Life would be so. It's like I've been accused of being shitty, and I'm like, no, I'm pretty great, honestly.
Oh, trust me. Yeah, going to the, and I met you. You're a great dude.
Thank you.
And in the LA scene, comedy scene, you meet all sorts of people.
Oh yeah, because people from all over the country are coming there.
Yeah, everywhere.
Yeah.
And the good, the bad, the ugly, and everybody's coming
Yeah.
there to follow the same kind of dream.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's cool, and it sucks at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
It's cool in that you get a lot of like-minded people. And you can collaborate with a lot of people, but it's also tough because you get a lot of shitty people. You get a lot of narcissists, especially in comedy.
Oh yeah. I
know?
mean, we've got that here.
You get that everywhere, but then you just
But
multiply it
yeah.
by everybody's the best narcissist
Yeah.
in their town, and
Well,
they come to LA.
it was either a podcast or something I was reading recently, and it was talking about how, all these actors, comedians, whatever, like, oh yeah, I was the funniest guy in my comedy sports group in high school or college, or I was like the lead in every play. Yeah, you could be the lead in every play in Topeka, Kansas.
Right.
But you go to LA, you're just another dickhead.
Yeah,
you know?
you're just another, and there's
Yeah.
The funny thing is, and I always think that I have a unique look.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
But there's somebody else that's just like you that they can find.
There's some other first generation Indian dude who moved from another state.
Yeah, with the dot on his forehead. Just,
God damn it.
I know. Why? No, but it's so true, and I think that's what being in a city.
Sorry, Abe Parr. We gave that role to Gabe Farr.
Yeah, right. That's happened actually. No, but that's what's interesting about it is, at first you get there and you're very excited and you think you're going to set the world on fire. Yeah. And it kind of pisses people off.
Yeah.
To tell you the truth.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you get jaded.
You get jaded quick.
Because how long? You've been out there over a decade, right?
I've been out there since 2011.
Damn. So you're going on 14 years.
For 14 years.
Did you go out right after you graduated college?
No, I didn't.
Oh, no, you're
I was actually 26 years old when I moved to LA. And I had no background in the entertainment industry other than being in couple plays, being in I had not done any comedy of any sort.
Really?
Other than being, again, the funniest guy in the group.
Yeah.
But you get out there and what you learn is that it's easy to be the funniest guy in the group amongst your group of friends.
Oh, yeah.
But then how do you translate that in front of somebody who's never seen you before? Yeah. In a quick 30 seconds, you got to get somebody on your side. And it's so true in business too.
Oh, yeah.
And that's one thing that I really love about stand-up is that it helps you get over yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
The talking and because I can tell, like, in my job, if I'm talking to some student and I'm like, they don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I've lost them.
Yeah.
And it's a one-on-one conversation. So how is that how's your skills in stand-up and whatever translated, like, one for one in your everyday life, would you say?
A lot of positive ways. For me, so I've gone through the ups and downs. You go through these periods. I think everybody does. Boom or bust, right? You're getting a lot of stuff one day, then the next day it seems like you're not getting anything.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things that I think it's taught me is not to take yourself too seriously.
Oh, God, no. Yeah. No.
Regardless of what you're doing, have fun with life.
Yeah.
You got one life to live, and that's right now.
Yeah.
And there's this Indian mystic guy that I watch. Sadhguru is his name.
Okay.
And he talks about this. He says, how do you know, like people talk about getting to heaven all the time. Yeah. How do you know that you're not already in heaven and making a mess of it? Right? You got to kind of live that way.
I like that idea that, you don't know what lies beyond. Yeah. Some people claim to know that. They're full of shit. But yeah, I mean, I want to make the best of this, what I have right now. And I wasn't for the longest time.
Yeah.
What was the catalyst for you as a 26-year-old college grad? Where'd you go to school, by the way?
I went to Georgia State University.
Georgia State. Is that in Macon?
No, that's in downtown Atlanta.
Oh, really?
Yeah, downtown Atlanta. Okay. Cool thing, when I was there, they were trying to shed their reputation of being a commuter school.
Oh, okay.
And we as a student body fought a lot to get a football team on campus.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And now that football team, they started playing in 2010, which is after I left.
Yeah.
But we've been to like 4 or 5 bowl games already. And
very cool. Georgia State.
Georgia State. Okay. Downtown Atlanta.
I was thinking of Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech is also in downtown Atlanta.
It is?
Yeah.
Well, shit. I don't know my Georgia schools then.
Well, Atlanta is really a big, overgrown college town.
I've been there once.
Yeah.
I've been.
What did you think?
Well, I was in McDonough and spent most of the time there. It's a cool city, driving through and stuff. But I don't know. I didn't get a super feel for it. So you weren't doing comedy there at all?
No. And the stand-up scene when I was there, I left in 2011. And there was a little bit of a stand-up scene, couple of open mics. But I really didn't know. I knew I wanted to do comedy.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what to do in Atlanta. And somebody actually even told me, I thought I almost signed up for an improv troupe there.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And then somebody told me that had been out to LA and then came back. They said, if you're planning on moving out to one of those cities, just wait till you get out there.
Oh, okay.
Anyway. And they go, and it's not because you're gonna learn anything different, but it's gonna be the networking that you do.
And did that prove true for you?
Yeah, it did.
Okay.
It did. So UCB, we talked about UCB, right? I did the improv program there and the sketch program.
Cool. Okay.
Improv was performative. We did a class show every class, meaning it culminated in a class show.
Okay.
And then UCB has a really specific style of teaching, but the connections I made through there, we worked on sketches together. Wow. We worked on a few of them I'm still in touch with, and then we'll work on random things. So, and it's not those connections necessarily, like when we think connections, oh, this person could help me out.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas it's more of the connections of just meeting people who are doing the same thing.
Yeah, like-minded people that you could work on something with, or, like, oh, this person's good at this. Yeah, your peer groups. Because, I mean, did you work with anybody or meet anyone who has gone on to a lot bigger things? Because, I mean, you've been out there for a while now.
I don't want to name drop on people.
That's fine.
But I will say, so I host like a crowd work show right now on Mondays.
Yeah, y'all stream it every Monday,
right?
Yeah,
we stream it on YouTube. And my co-host, shout out Kim McVicker, I will name drop her. She's on Amazon Prime.
Oh, cool.
She's on Hulu. She's been listed as one of the top 10 female comics to watch.
Nice. And is she just a pure stand-up, or does she act too?
I think she does some acting. She has an interesting story. She was a backup dancer.
Oh, wow!
And she was one of Diddy's backup dancers.
Holy shit!
Back in the day, but she never had.
She never got invited to the parties, the lotion parties.
And she actually does a bit about that.
Yeah,
like, how come I never got invited to these parties? Not that I wanted to go, but
Sure, yeah, yeah.
The comedy club that we do it at was founded by, and rest in peace, Dex Carvey, Dana Carvey's son.
Oh, wow. I didn't know Dana Carvey's son had passed away.
Yeah, he did last year.
Oh, that sucks.
And
young guy then, huh?
Young guy. He was younger than me, man. He was 33.
Damn, that sucks.
32, 33. And so you meet people all the time. Right. And honestly, you start meeting people and you get to see how they're actually like.
Yeah.
Beyond the, oh, you're cool. Beyond the, oh, you're big, you can help me out.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Like, are you actually fucking cool? Can I, some people you'll work with, and then you go home and you're like, cool. Yeah. Then there's other people that you actually hang out with.
Yeah.
Well,
it's funny. There's this guy, I don't know if you might have met him 2 years ago, the first time I remember meeting you when you came out here. But this guy, Ben Bondurant, and he's on a TV show now. He had a crazy TikTok following. He's on a TV show that's on Hulu. And he was here a month ago, just to hang out. He was coming through town. He's based in Austin now. And he's like, hey, what's up, guys? And I'm like, has this changed you at all? And he's like, no, not at all. He was on like 4 episodes of this show, but it's crazy because I mean, I'm like, oh, hey, there he is, and there's Sean Patton and other actors I'm recognizing, comedians, stuff like that. Right, it's crazy, but it's funny though seeing So have you gotten to do any big showcases or anything there?
I've done a few. Let's see. Crowd work. We do a showcase every month, and then we always try to book some really good comics. A couple. We do kind of a mix. We'll book some comics that have done really well at crowd work that demonstrate they know how to do crowd work as a comic, because a lot of times newer comics especially think crowd work means roasting the audience.
Stupid shirt.
And that's sure you could do that, but that's not necessarily. And then we'll try to put on some big comics outside of comedy circles. People, I always wonder how much people recognize names.
I know a lot of just because of the podcast I listen to. I know a lot more New York comics, but I do know a lot of comics that are based in LA. But it's, a lot of times from like acting and stuff, TV shows, whatever.
I'm trying to think if there's like Mike Falzone is one that he runs surrounded crowd work.
Oh, okay.
we've had him on the show. We've had
Awesome.
other national touring comics.
Oh, yeah.
And what's interesting about LA too is LA is, if you're a stand-up, that's different than being an actor.
Right, yeah, two completely different worlds.
Completely different. My back neighbor actually is this dude named Will Harrison, who's on he was on Veep.
Cool.
Or I'm sorry, Madam Secretary.
Oh, okay.
He was on Daisy Jones and the Six.
Oh, okay.
that show
I watched some of that.
He was the younger brother bass player.
Oh, crazy.
The kind of tall.
And he lives behind you.
He literally lives in the house behind me.
That's
right?
insane. Not every person that's on a TV show is rich and crazy, successful. Sometimes they're just working actors.
And you'd be surprised at how regular people really are. And I think that's what you kind of learn in LA. You have two types of people. Is you get people who come there and who get changed and who really behave kind of differently or maybe let it get to their head.
Yeah.
And then you have the other group of people who are like, you know what? Yeah, I'm still the same person at the end of the day. It's just people might recognize me somewhere.
Yeah, I'm going to go start a pussy posse myself, or I'm just going to hang out with my friends and,
I'm going to be the same
normal.
guy. And, I spent a lot of years when I first got there too. And when I first got there, I was living with a bunch of tech dudes.
Oh, okay.
So we lived up in the hills. Speaking of celebrities, this is probably the biggest celebrity that encounter I've had, especially being from Atlanta. But I remember we lived up in the hills, and Ludacris bought the house.
Oh, holy shit!
2 doors down.
That's cool.
And because Ludacris went to Georgia State, right?
Yeah.
He's Mr. Atlanta. Yeah. So I'm super excited when I hear.
I loved you in Crash.
I literally, he was walking with his mom, his dog. And I'm like, I pulled over. I'm like, I'm your neighbor. I'm from Atlanta, blah, blah. And he was like, you could tell he was super creeped out.
He was like, why is this dude talking to me?
He's like, okay, these are my names. And it was one of those moments for me because you're like, oh, yeah, I met him. And then you look back on it and you're like, ooh, I made an ass of myself.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't do that next time it happens. And then in LA, it's going to happen a lot.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So then you learn over time, like, okay.
They're just people.
Yeah. You're just a person. And you need to approach everybody that you meet with humility and kindness, right? A lot of times you meet people, you don't know that they're big. Like I didn't know my back neighbor.
Oh yeah, was on the show.
Was on these shows.
Yeah, wow.
And then we're talking about it, and you see him on the poster, and you're like, oh.
It's like, oh, holy shit, you're in that show.
Yeah, you live in the back house, right?
That's crazy.
And that's what I think. That's why people gravitate towards those New York, LA type places, just because the experience and exposure you'll get.
And it's where shit's happening. Yeah. And Austin is kind of...
Austin is picking up.
Is becoming, I mean, specifically for stand-up, but I mean, there's movies, TV shows, all kinds of shit being shot. I mean, there's shit shot in Atlanta all the time.
I will say this.
It's gotten a lot bigger. Yeah.
And people being from Atlanta, people would tell me all the time, especially in that period, a lot of stuff was being produced in Atlanta. Oh, we're producing TV shows. You should move back here now. And I said, yeah, unfortunately, the decisions are still made in New York and LA.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
So,
yeah, I've got to get cast on Walking Dead
to come here.
And yeah. Stephen Yeun wasn't just sitting in Atlanta waiting for a TV show to come on. He was probably in LA.
Yeah. And so it is I think the day-to-day experiences, you just have so much opportunity on a day-to-day level to really go out.
That's awesome, though. I mean...
It is what you make of it.
Yeah. You can't just sit on your ass and wait till
and not only
it
that,
comes to you.
with that comes a lot of distractions too.
Oh, sure, okay.
Like when I was living up in the hills, partying with tech guys, we're drinking and doing drugs a lot.
Was it like Silicon Valley, sort of like an incubator kind of deal?
Actually, no, they were established tech guys.
Oh, really? Okay.
So they're the ones who motivated me to get more into tech because I saw what they were doing. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I could make money from
So
this.
that isn't what your background was in already? Or
Crazy
was it
story. No, it's not.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I did not study. I studied economics and history.
Wow. Okay. I've got. Yeah. Okay. What era of history?
I specialized in two things. One is the formation of the early Christian church.
Okay.
So from the years after Christ to the Council of Nicaea when the Bible was collated.
So
the
like
modern
400, 500 year period. Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And really what we studied, and to that point, I studied historiography.
Okay.
Which is the study of the writing of history and how.
So were you reading like Josephus and stuff like that, or?
Yeah, and then we read a lot of Gnostic Gospels, the
Okay.
Nag Hammadi scripts, and the whole point was to see the different translations and the accounts of Jesus.
Why? Why that?
Because you have 12 you have 12 apostles.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Each of them wrote a gospel. People don't realize.
No, why did you specifically study that? Choose to study that?
You know, I was always into history, and I had a teacher who was a professor who I really liked the world history, the way that he taught it. I found it really interesting. So I just signed up for classes that he was teaching. And this is something that he studied a lot.
Okay.
So just by nature, I think the first class was history, just beginner basic intro to history then the next class was European history, then the next class was Christian history, and then the last class I took with them, and you had to take like 6 classes for the minor, four of mine were for
what happened to be that what other area of history?
The European history was really around, again, he really studied the formation of propaganda in the Christian church. And that's what I found really interesting, that you've got 12 disciples, each of them write a gospel, but yet there's a period of time where they decide to only use 4.
Yeah, that is really interesting because you have Jesus doing some crazy shit as a kid and stuff. Like didn't like he turn a bunch of kids into pigs or something crazy like that.
You know,
I've never read them. I've never read them, but I've just, and isn't there a Gospel of Mary Magdalene?
There is, and that is that's one of the things that we studied.
Interesting. Wow.
And there, I mean, I think the Da Vinci Code kind of made a mockery of this a little bit with their historical fiction bullshit.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of kind of view. What is that relationship between Jesus and Mary Magdalene?
You should write a screenplay, dude. But a good one,
Tom
Hanks might be in it still.
Yeah, he would be. I would cast Tom Hanks.
Do you want to play Robert Langdon again? Hell yes, I do.
God, man,
I love Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks saved the world.
Yeah, did you watch that movie Here?
No.
Yeah, nobody watched it. Me and my mom are the only people that watched it.
What is it about?
It's based on a graphic novel. So it's Zemeckis. So it's a Zemeckis movie with him and Robin Wright. So Tom Hanks and Robin Wright, and it's basically like this view out this window of this house, in the living room of this house, and you see that scene for like 7. It actually starts in like prehistory. So like dinosaurs and shit, and the Native Americans on this spot, and then there was like a house where like Benjamin Franklin's kid lived, and then they built this house in like the early 1800s, and then this family lives there, and it's
wow.
It's really, it sounds better than it is.
Okay, well, yeah. Let me ask you this, because it sounds like a lot happens there.
It does.
What is your takeaway after you watch it? Well, how are you supposed to feel? Because Zemeckis is he makes movies with a purpose.
Zemeckis has done some of my absolute favorite movies. The Back to the Futures and Who Framed Roger Rabbit specifically, but
I mean, Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
It's so fucking good.
I had my craziest acid trip watching Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
I should take acid watch. This movie,
you should. Oh my god, your mind will be
just
blown.
Need to get a hold of some acid. Come on, Eddie. Oh god, that's gotta. Oh man, that scares me thinking about that movie.
Oh, dude, that intro scene where it starts off as a cartoon.
Oh yeah, Baby Herman.
Yeah, and then when you get around LA a lot.
Yeah.
And then
you see all those. The tunnel. What is the? And that tunnel's in Back to the Future. Also, that's the tunnel where Biff hits the shit truck.
Dude, so many places you'll be driving by and you'll be,
And I remember reading about that. I think that's you go through that tunnel, and then on the other side is like the Griffith Observatory or something, where they shot. It's a fucking movie that's at the end of that. Rebel Without a Cause.
Yeah, and also right up there is the old Bat Cave, the old entrance.
Oh,
to the
holy
Bat
shit,
Cave
that's cool.
Up in Bronson.
Wow, I should. I've never been to LA. I've been to San Francisco. I want to go. I've got. Well, I mean, I know I know you there. I've got my friend Bryce that I grew up with.
Yeah.
Him and his girlfriend now are expecting a kid.
Oh wow!
So I can just crash in on them. Hey,
that's crazy. I'm at that same
I
know we're both a little bit older.
Yeah,
all
no
of
kidding.
Our friends are having kids. How do you feel about that? How do you feel?
Oh man, kids. I'm not having them. I had a vasectomy back when I was still married. So me and my ex-wife decided. My brother's got a kid. Kids are cool. Not for me. No. Not for me. I mean, if I ended up dating and marrying a woman with a kid, I'd be okay with it, or multiple kids. I just don't want to impregnate a woman, have her queef out a baby, or however it works. And I just don't want to do that.
However it works.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. We're dudes.
Yeah, exactly.
We've done our job.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I've done my end. Yeah, no, I just have dead jizz now.
I asked because it's something that I'm in my 40s now.
Yeah, man, it gets weird.
Yeah, not married and especially being Indian, that's
a big part of the, hey, and you were talking on stage the other night. I don't know how much of it's real. Your parents kind of like, hey, we want you to get married, have kids.
100% real story, by the way.
I figured it was. So it's like, so we put you on, I don't know, what do you call it?
Shadi.com.
Which is I was going to make up a name that insensitive or something.
Yeah, no. Well,
we call it VishnuMingle.com.
It might as well be called, Vishnu Mingle. But, and so, the story is they want me to have a kid so bad that they created a online profile.
I bet you they could find a surrogate to care.
That's not what
they want you to have a wife and children.
Because they think that's their definition of happiness.
Right?
They grew up more traditionally.
Yeah.
And the reason why I ask is I don't know if that's for me.
The having a partner, because I have before. I was married for 16 years. Fucking insane to think about now.
That's a long time.
It is a long time. I got married when I was 23.
I was going to say you must have been young.
I was 23 and I was 39 when we split up. So we only split up like a little over, like 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, because when I first met you, you were...
Yeah, I was fresh.
You were fresh, yeah.
I think I was still legally married.
I think you were still legally married.
Yeah, I finalized a year and a half ago.
Okay.
So it took a while. It's still,
So you guys are still friends?
No.
Okay.
She kind of went nuts earlier this year. I've talked a lot about it on the podcast. She, and it's a part and parcel with the reason we split up, mental health issues, addiction, shit like that. Just not a balance. She kind of went off the deep end. And that makes me very thankful that we didn't have kids, because then I would have to be sharing children who have those genes. As far as the idea, I mean, if I'd have gotten married young, or even if I hadn't had a vasectomy and there was a possibility, because I ain't getting that shit reversed. I ain't getting that reversed. It's only it's not even always effective when you reverse it.
Yeah.
But I don't want to do that. How are you feeling about the whole thing? Because it's like, I mean, if you had a kid this moment, I mean, you'd be like 60 when they when they graduate high school.
I know. So that's what.
But I mean, people live longer.
Yeah, people live longer. There's something to doing all of that dad shit with your kids, teaching them to play sports.
Doesn't sound bad.
It doesn't sound bad, right?
But
also scares the bejesus out of me. But then a part of me, I try to think to myself, I can handle anything. I can. And
you've handled LA for over a decade.
Yeah, and some crazy stuff in LA.
I'm sure you've encountered a lot.
But and then that's the other part is like, how old am I gonna be now when?
Yeah, I mean, shit can move quick. I mean, I met my ex, which she was the first serious girlfriend I had, and we got married in less than 6 months after. And a lot of people, will get pregnant immediately, you know,
Sure.
after. So I mean, hell, you could come visit this time next year, Lubbock, and you got a little kid.
Oh
you know,
my God.
meet a girl in 3 months.
Where's wood? Please.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something wood around here. Yeah, that table. Yeah, nah, but I mean, I don't. I you know, whatever. I just hope everybody. What I want for everybody that I know and enjoy is like that they have the life that they want.
Yeah.
And for me, that ain't what I want.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if I meet somebody that has already had their kids, cool, but nah, not for
I
me.
kind of feel the same way.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
way less pressure being a stepdad than it is your
Yeah.
own actual
Yeah.
kid, right?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, if they're already screwed up, they're going to be screwed up by the
Yeah.
time you get to them. But
I feel like I had a lot more friends growing up with cool stepdads than
there
with
you
cool
go.
dads.
Yeah, because Curtis has this joke about how, you know, does having a good step parent equate to like how good your mom's pussy is? Because like I have a great stepdad, my mom must have a bomb ass pussy.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, because I mean, you know, it's gonna have to be the case, you know.
It's got to be. I mean,
Yeah.
you know.
How is so we talked a little bit of, I know I want to come back to the entertainment industry
Yeah.
and comedy and stuff, but how is like dating out there?
Dating's crazy.
It's got to be weird.
It's weird, and I've done the whole gamut of
Yeah.
things. You know, I've dated comics, I've dated actors, models.
There's not enough female comics in Lubbock for me to have dated any comics.
There's not enough female comics.
Period. Yeah. there's
And
not.
and you can see why. You know.
It's a boys' club. I mean, it's all talking about our dicks and
Yeah, especially and you have to start out in the open mic scene,
yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
And you
it
got to
is.
waste a lot of time to really
I've wasted
actually
much.
get somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
And quite frankly, most women probably in that period of time that they're spending, there's probably
Yeah.
a lot of stuff that happens that pushes you away from
Oh,
the
sure.
scene.
Yeah, probably, you know, Louis C.K. type shit.
Yeah, Louis C.K. I mean, I saw, isn't Chris D'Elia coming to town?
Yeah, Chris D'Elia is coming here in Amarillo. He's doing both.
Has he sold out those shows?
I don't know. I think he's playing a smaller theater here in like May. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look that up because he isn't like Louis. He got seriously. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's still got a career. He's still, you know, I mean, and
That's what I mean. He's making his comeback,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
And I would say this is the one thing somebody told me
Yeah.
in LA when within my first 3 months there. This old timer who'd been around for a while, super
Yeah.
jaded, you know, kind of grumpy, but
Dennis Miller.
yeah, right.
Let me tell you here.
Yeah, and he goes, look, you can be a lot of things in LA. You can be anything you want to in LA. He said the only thing that you can't be is a waste of time.
Yeah. Ooh, that is a good lesson to learn.
Yeah. So
Wow.
that was crazy. So it was like, yeah, that's so true because you could be a complete piece of shit,
Yeah.
but you make money, you work hard,
Yeah.
and I had to deal with that morally because you know we
Sure.
talked about morals at the
Yeah.
beginning.
It's like, what's not a waste of time? Pulling my dick out in front of everybody.
Yeah, and people still get booked, and people and
Yeah, sure, man.
and what people always say is, well, it's because they're funny or
Yeah,
it's because
yeah.
they're good, and it's. And honestly, if you know, especially
Yeah.
in the comedy scene,
Yeah.
because it is so much dicks and tits and ass.
Yeah.
If I'm a woman, I probably would be a little bit.
Yeah, you're gonna be
uncomfortable.
turned off by that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you know the comedian Morgan Murphy. She has this joke where a lot of people are like, "Oh, comedian, you're the funny guy in the office," and she's like, "No, the guys I know are not the funny guy in the office. They're the guys like." Why is that guy always talking about rape?
Right.
Why is he always talking about rape? And it's seriously like that's a bad transition. But I have gotten in trouble at work because it's like you joke around and go push the line a little too far, and it's like, okay, yes, that is fair because there is an HR department here where I work and stuff. But
I will say that's another thing that I've kind of learned from comedy and doing
Yeah.
it a lot is learning what works with what audience.
oh yeah. For
I did
sure.
I got asked to MC my sister's wedding earlier this year.
How was that?
It was honestly one of the best shows, personally
Really?
wise.
So it's like
feeling-wise.
friends and family.
It was. I was super nervous going
Yeah.
into it because I was gonna do, so in Indian weddings they do a thing called a sangeet.
Okay.
The night before the wedding.
What is that?
It's basically like a celebration dance where both parties will sing and dance or whatever. Cool. And because of my background, they asked me to host.
So it's like a show.
You
hosted a show.
It was like
how many attendants were at this wedding?
200.
Okay.
So it was a proper room.
Yeah.
You know,
that's a good crowd. I would be happy with the 200.
Oh yeah, it's a good crowd. And the other thing is it was 200 people. None of them were comics.
Yeah.
So
not a single
one other than me. So they're all kind of looking at you, going, "Okay, what do you got?"
And I'm assuming you said your sister married an Indian guy, so I'm guessing it's a mostly Indian crowd. Are there a lot of friends that are not?
A lot of friends.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of friends.
Okay.
It was actually really diverse.
Okay.
A lot of people from a lot of places.
Yeah. Did the wedding take place in Atlanta?
It did.
Okay. So a lot of black people, obviously. I love it.
It took place on the haunted lake.
Outcast was there. Wait, what's the haunted lake?
Lake Lanier.
Okay, I don't know that one.
Yeah, Lake Lanier. So every lake in Georgia is man-made, first of all.
Interesting. Didn't know that.
And Lake Lanier is the largest lake.
Okay.
It was an old town was flooded. A thriving black community was flooded out.
And some whites said, "Let's flood that shit."
Yeah. And prior to that, it used to be Native American land. And
so there's tons of double stole.
So there's unmarked graves. There's all sorts of things.
That's kind of sad.
It's kind of sad.
No wonder it's haunted.
What's ironic is it is the lake where the most people in Georgia drown. On a yearly basis.
So they're making fresh ghosts all the time. It's like, we got these slave and Indian ghosts, so we got new ghosts.
The wedding had that sort of diversity, you know.
Wow, crazy.
Indians, black people,
exactly.
white people.
Both kinds of Indians.
Both kinds of Indians. No, but it has the most drown. And I don't know if that's because it's a haunted lake.
Wow.
Or if it's the largest lake in Georgia and rednecks like to go boating and don't follow safety
that's
rules,
probably
right?
it. Yeah, it's like Jeff Foxworthy's cousin drowned here last year.
Mm-hmm.
Man, okay. So why was it the best show? Was it just...
Yeah, the audience was great.
That's awesome.
So coming back to this, because I do a lot of jokes. Like I think you've heard this joke where I talk about the first time I got in a fight.
Mm-hmm. And your dad's a tool.
Yeah,
I love that shit.
My joke is my dad's a tool, and that's his name, ATUL.
Yeah.
But I remember, first time I got in a fight, some kids being racist to me at school.
Yeah.
And I thought if I didn't fight back, I wouldn't get in trouble with my dad. And my dad asked me when I get home, he's like, "What happened?" So, I told him what happened. And my dad, this is in the 90s, so this is okay. You could
hitting
smack
your kid. This is Malcolm in the Middle era.
Right.
So
he gives me a little smack on the upside the head, which I embellish way more, right?
Sure,
when
it wasn't like
It wasn't like he punched me or whatever.
It was like smack.
Yeah, it was just like a little smack.
What was that for?
Yeah, and he told me, he's like, "Listen, if somebody's being racist to you, fight back.
Right.
Fight back."
Yeah.
And so the joke that I do normally on stage is then the next time it happened, I beat the shit out of the kid at school, and then I came home and I beat the shit out of my dad. But I couldn't finish that joke at the wedding because my dad's sitting right there, and a ton of my family is. So that was like an example of okay. Knowing your audience, knowing your material, and knowing where to stop.
Right. Yeah. There are definitely some jokes that I could do in front of like my mom or something, but I have to clean them up because I've told her a few. She saw me do improv the other night. First time she's ever seen me.
What
perform.
Did she say?
Oh, she loved it.
Yeah.
Although the host. He said like "goddamn," and my mom is super duper Christian. She's like, "Well, I didn't like that. The one guy used the Lord's name in vain." And I'm like, "God damn it, Mom."
That's funny.
But and he said "fuck" a couple times, and she's like, "I thought you said it was a clean show." I'm like, I thought it was. Nobody graphically described any sexual acts like in stand up. Like I'll talk about. I've got a bit about bukkake, which I would have to explain to my mom what that was first. But
it's so funny. So my mom, but even before that, she'd come to see me do stand up, right?
Oh, really? She's seen you do stand up? Okay.
Yeah, she's seen me do stand up before then, and so I asked her after the show. I was producing the show, so that's why she came. And so I asked her which one of the comics up there was your favorite. What did you like the most? And her answer really surprised me. The bit that she liked the most was one of my friends, another shout out to a lesser known comic, Jared Levin.
Good name.
Who's literally people.
Is he Jewish?
He's not.
Oh, well.
He's half Filipino.
He's another guy with a Jewish last name.
Actually, he might be half Jewish.
Oh, maybe half Filipino, half Jewish.
Yeah.
But so he's got a joke your mom really likes.
Yeah, and the whole thing is about how he gets sucked back into an alien uterus by an alien umbilical cord, and he does this whole act out on stage where he crawls backwards.
Sounds like a good bit.
It's great. It's great. I mean, he's a surfer dude. He's like a surf instructor.
Oh, cool.
So he has this whole stoner surfy vibe.
Oh, yeah.
And so when my mom goes, "Oh, that guy Jared," I go, "Do you realize what he was talking about in that bit?" She goes, "No, not really."
She's like the physical, like the act out part.
Yeah, and
yeah.
So you kind of, and that was a lesson for me too. It's like, oh, okay, it's not really the words that matter. I think I did one stand-up class, and I Greg Dean, Santa Monica, which the one thing I took away from that class is in a stand-up set, about 16 to 20% of it is actually the words that you're using.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's something I've been trying to work on a lot more. And I go back and watch old tape, and I can see a noticeable difference.
Really?
Is stage presence.
You know what? Same. I've actually, and even like losing weight and having like more, Ralphie May has this, you've probably seen it. I think he did it at the Comedy Store in LA when he was still alive, but he did the stand-up class, and he says, guys, shave your beards off because you have so much facial stuff you can do, that you lose when you've got a full beard. But
if you notice, you've seen me years past with a full beard, but now I'm going more clean.
Yeah.
And
you're right. Yeah.
It's so true because the emotion in my face, what people get really excited about when they're watching and stand up. What I love about stand up is also what makes it the hardest thing. Is you got nobody else to fall back on. It's you, a microphone.
You don't even have like an instrument you can hide behind.
Yeah, you don't. It's got to be your jokes. And at first, I wrote, because I have all this background in joke writing, that's the part that I'm the most confident about.
Yeah. Right.
And I couldn't understand why at first, people don't get this joke. And so I would try to explain it different ways. And then I remember one of my friends, actually a really good friend, another lesser known comic, Aaron Michael Marsh, who I used to co-host the Jenga mic with.
Oh, cool. Oh, yeah. I've seen pictures from that and stuff. That's cool.
For anybody watching, the Jenga mic is this mic that we used to do where you would pull a Jenga block and it would say something on it that you would have to do.
Is that the thing where you would have like Seinfeld up a joke or Jay Leno a joke?
Seinfeld up a joke. One of them was... for after every punchline, say, "Do you know who my father is?"
Nice.
And then stuff like 1 minute said, 2 minutes said, 6 minutes said.
Oh, wow.
So it was just kind of a crapshoot, and you would lose your turn if you knocked the Jenga tower over. Which also I'll tell you a funny story about that. But I remember one time I had a hat on my stage, and my co-host told me, he goes, "Hey, just a note for you." He goes, "Don't wear a hat on stage, or if you do, turn it backward."
Oh, interesting.
He goes, "Because you're animated with your face, and we lose all of that emotion that you're." And he goes, "Honestly, you come off as way more angry when we don't see the emotion in your face." So it kind of goes with that. You communicate non-verbally, even when you're verbally communicating.
That's really interesting. Yeah, because I mean, you're picking up on your body language, your hand movements, your whatever. Yeah. And I'm not super animated on stage, but I'm hoping improv because I want to be. I want to, like the way Mulaney just uses the whole damn stage. She'll just back and forth, and seeing him live is amazing. So I'm in Austin. It's stage presence. Having that stage presence, and that's what I love watching comics that have that.
Great comics that do it really well. There's nothing quite like, and I think that's why a lot of people get motivated because you see somebody really good do it, and you go, "Oh wow, that was amazing! I wish I could do half of that."
Right? No kidding.
And then you start to emulate. And that's the other cool thing about being in LA is, you go to open mics at the Comedy Store and at the Improv, and I remember last year, Netflix is a joke, just sitting out. The Comedy Store does a few open mics, and one of the most popular ones is called Set of the Night.
Okay.
And they'll pull out a bucket, they'll fill the room out, the belly room, the upstairs kind of back room. They'll fill it out with audience members, so much so that they don't even let comics up there until it's your time to perform.
Really?
Because they're selling it out that much.
Crazy.
And you get 2 minutes, and so I'm sitting outside waiting because it's literally like 1984. The room is so packed that they have this screen up there, and 5 names will come up.
Oh wow! So you know your order.
Yeah, but imagine this scene. You've got people from all over the world standing outside the Comedy Store.
And this is during the Netflix's joke festival.
Yeah, and Netflix is a joke. All of these national headliners are walking in and out of the main room and the original room. And I'm sitting outside, and Nimesh Patel walks by at first. And I'm just like, oh shit, dude, that's fucking Nimesh.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh yeah, this Netflix is a joke. I gotta remember that. Because you get lost in your own world sometimes.
Oh, sure,
and you forget what's going on. And then Andrew Schultz walks up. And say what you will about Andrew Schultz. At that time, this is before he started getting way more political on his stuff.
He was really funny in Tires, and his stand-up is. I like some of it.
I really like his crowd work. Okay. I will say Andrew Schultz, because when he does do crowd work, he's a great example of when he does crowd work. He's not necessarily roasting you.
Yeah.
But he is kind of poking fun at you, but not in a way where like New York comics will come out and do crowd work and they'll just
like
hammer.
Big J. Yeah.
But he does it in such a way that, but just seeing him walk by and introducing yourself and saying, hey, what's up?
That's cool.
Yeah. And then you see how people act off of stage too. And then you can kind of, when you see them off stage, they're normal. Yeah. Then when they get on stage, they turn on that stage presence.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's a switch but I mean, you do hundreds and hundreds, possibly thousands of shows. I mean, definitely thousands if you've been doing it for a decade plus. Yeah, I mean, you just turn it on. It's just a skill. It's like in work mode.
Yeah, and that's what I'm kind of learning right now and a lot of it, I think, is why I'm getting into a lot more meditation and inner peace, right? Because, and I'm sure you've had this, the same jokes that work. You go in a room, completely dead. You think you did them all the same way, and you're like, and we all have a tendency, oh, this audience sucked or whatever. Yeah. But I started watching tape, and there was like, oh yeah, I'm not bringing the energy that night. Okay. So how do I? And then I play a lot of golf too.
Oh, okay. Really?
Same thing on the golf course where sometimes, some days I can fucking crush a ball. I'm only 5'8", 150 pounds. Yeah. I can hit a ball 300 yards some days.
Damn.
The very next swing, I might hit it 30 yards. So it's not.
So it's just. It's being in the proper headspace.
It's being in the proper headspace. Okay. And the more I play golf, the more I'm trying to apply that to comedy too. Okay. Cool. I essentially call it going through your routine to get in the proper space. Okay. For golf, it's a pre-shot routine so that when you're sitting over the ball and you're about to hit it, you have full confidence in what you're about to do in yourself. Okay. Stand-up's not that different. Yeah. When you're about to get on stage, you need to have confidence and conviction in what you're doing. You need to know where your punchlines are. You need to know... and that comes with practice. And this is why being in LA or New York is great, because you have the opportunity to practice 4 or 5 times a night.
Yeah.
A night.
Yeah, that's crazy to me.
There are times where you have to decide which one you're going to go to, right? Yeah. And you decide based on, they have audience there, they don't. Yeah. That's...
So you could do 20 plus shows a week if you wanted to. Wow,
easily. I mean, in the summers, especially, you're just on a grind, right? And everything. The great thing too is stand-up comedy is at night, So you can have a day job and then go at night and do that. And for a long time, when I first started comedy, that essentially was saving me.
Really?
Because I didn't realize it at the time, but I was a little dejected.
Really?
And it was, you have a day job. Yeah, I was making money, but I was drinking a lot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I've told you that I stopped drinking a few years ago.
Good.
Kind of
That's great.
realizing, I was looking for an escape. And I don't care about, that's a personal choice that I made.
And being a heavy drinker and a comedian, you're looking in early grave.
Well, and not only that, and then you start thinking about, okay, well, how does this affect my stage presence? The more, and at first I get it. At first you want to relax yourself a little bit.
Sure.
And this is why I say you got to be careful in LA because it's easy to get carried away.
Yeah.
And what was happening for me was, okay, first set, I'm good.
Yeah.
Night starts going on. A little drunker,
Okay.
a little drunker,
Yeah.
a little drunk.
Yeah.
By the end of the night, I mean, there are nights where people are like, dude, are you okay? Because you're out so much. You're going to a lot of these open mics at bars too. And, getting a drink. You got to be careful, man.
Yeah.
You got to be careful. I mean, I drove my car through a building
Shit.
drunk.
Did you get a DUI?
I did not.
Oh.
I did not.
Good.
Got
away with it.
It was crazy. The first person who knocked on the door, or who asked me if I was okay, I was like, "What are you, a cop?" He goes, "No, I'm a DUI lawyer." I was like, "Oh
Lucky.
my God,
Thank God,
Jesus, thank you.
Give me your card."
Yeah, well, then the guy goes, I go, "Thank Jesus." I literally said that. He goes, "No, actually, my name is Jesus," and I was like.
Is that one of your bits? That should be a bit.
You know what? I'll do it in bar PM. That is one of my bits. I do. It's a whole story of why I stopped drinking. And that was after I had started. I had done sketch and improv. This is post pandemic. Pandemic,
wow.
everything shut
recent.
down.
It lasts like 3-4 years.
Yeah. This is in 2021.
Okay.
Everything shut down. 2020. And 2020 is right when I started stand up.
Okay.
So then, and being a new comic trying to do Zoom mics was not.
No.
Was almost scarring.
Yeah.
I had to stop for a while and go back to sketch.
Yeah.
Because
I'm glad I wasn't doing it during that era.
Oh yeah. But then pandemic lifts and then everybody wants to go out. So you're almost really excited.
Yeah.
And then I'm in that phase too where, and at first, this is actually this is the night before I started doing stand-up. I remember this because I was doing a lot of poetry shows at the time.
Really?
Producing poetry shows.
So you kind of worked your way up to stand-up.
I did.
Sketch, improv, poetry.
I was always afraid of stand-up.
Yeah.
Because of that aforementioned, it's you and a microphone and you can't hide.
Yeah.
So I was always, self-doubt.
Yeah.
Self-doubt is the biggest killer in stopping you from doing things.
So you were at the poetry show the night before your first.
Yeah.
stand-up.
I was at the venue that I was doing the poetry shows at. I had a little bit to drink, but driving home, I'm literally a block away from my house, and I crashed my car into, of all buildings, the headquarters for PETA, the People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals.
And you were swerving because there was a dog in the road. And you're like, ah!
Yeah, right. I avoided the dog, but it caused, $65,000 in property
They
damage.
can't get mad, though,
building.
because you didn't kill it.
Yeah. Well, and then,
insane.
Then what happened, then this guy comes up and he tells me he's a DUI lawyer. He goes, I'm going to tell you exactly how you get away with this. And I go, okay. He goes,
wow,
he
what
goes,
a cool guy.
First of all, call a tow truck.
Yep.
I go, okay. He goes, that's because when the cops come here,
they'll have towed you before.
They don't want to do the paperwork.
Yeah.
And the one thing he goes, the one thing the cops hate more than minorities like us is doing paperwork.
Wow.
And I was like, touche, Jesus.
Yeah.
Touche. Good point. And then he goes, the second thing, he goes, you have a mask in your car.
Yeah.
And I go, yeah. He goes, put the mask, put it on.
Oh, smart.
And he goes, if the cops ask you if you've been drinking, like I just did, you tell them no.
Yeah, of course.
And you tell them it's a long night. You just want the police report. Yeah. And so cops show up and they ask me the same thing. I have my mask on. They go, have you been drinking? And I go, no. The cop looks at me and goes, yeah, right. Like who drives a car into a building sober, right? And I see Jose or Jesus in the background. He's going, and I'm like, no, officer, I haven't been in fact. And right then the tow truck driver comes up and he goes,
did you say I'm Asian? I'm a terrible driver.
Yeah, right. I should have said that.
Fuck, sorry.
Should have done a shitty Chinese accent too, just to piss
Well, you're part of the continent.
Yeah, right. So then the tow truck driver comes and the cop thinks thinks I'm responsible then, and they don't want to do the paperwork.
Yeah.
And they're overwhelmed because the building is through a car.
Yeah.
And
Crazy.
they literally wrote it off that I wasn't at fault for this accident.
Whoa.
And the insurance company paid me like $10,000 over what I owed on my car anyway.
And did they pay for the damage to the building and stuff?
Funny story. So then after that, I think it was one of the insurance companies started sending me letters like, "Oh, you owe $65,000 in property damage that's outside of your coverage."
Yeah.
Remember the first letter I got? I was like, "Yeah, I don't have that kind of money."
No.
I just kind of threw it away.
Yeah.
Right?
Did it just go away?
Then the next letter I got, it was like, "We'll settle for $50,000."
I will settle for 50.
And I'm like, "Huh." Well, that just saved me $15,000. Let me keep going with this. The next one I got, okay, we'll take $30,000.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh shit, dude. I've already saved like $30,000 on this. I got to keep going with this.
Yeah, just wait it out.
And then finally, like a few months ago, they sent me a letter. Oh, we've settled. You owe no money for this.
Just wait 3 years and you don't know. I wish student loans worked that way.
Well, they were going to until this new administration's coming up.
So we're coming up on an hour. I wanted to ask you a couple more things. So as far as like sketch, improv, have you gotten to do any acting jobs or like on-screen stuff or auditions anyway?
Only indies. Only indies. I haven't.
I mean, that's still cool.
It's still cool. Indies and sketches.
Yeah.
I'm actually just getting to the point now when I get back to LA. I have to update my headshots and then start sending them out.
I need to get new ones now that I've lost weight. I had a bunch of really good pictures done by a friend who owns a studio. And, and now I'm like, I'm too fucking fat. I look different.
Well, right. And that's the thing is your headshot really does need to look like you.
Yeah.
Whatever you look like, you change
so
your
many
hair.
comics that look nothing like they look on the flyer.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that's like when you put me on the flyer, I wanted to send you a picture without a beard.
Yeah. No,
right?
I mean, that looks like you.
Yeah.
I mean,
right. Yeah. Because those things matter. And those things really matter. So I've done some,
awesome.
mostly unpaid. The stuff that I have gotten paid for is working below the line.
Yeah, sure.
But then that's why I tend to get into my own productions a little bit more.
Okay, cool. So are you shooting your own stuff?
Yeah,
awesome.
I'm doing a sketch series where I play a fake Indian psychic.
Okay.
That's loosely based on Miss Cleo.
Sweet. Okay. So are you? Is it very like over the top caricature?
Yeah, completely.
Okay.
And the whole backstory is, obviously I'm Indian.
Yeah, sure.
But when you actually dig deeper, I'm not really Indian.
Yeah.
I'm just a dude, just like Miss Cleo. She had some Jamaican heritage.
So you're the character's doing a fake accent.
Exactly.
Oh, nice.
It's
that's
a
cool.
scam. The whole thing is a scam.
Yeah.
Right?
That's really funny. So the characters basically it's just like a sham. The whole thing.
Yeah. And honestly, this is why I got into sketch writing because for my sense of humor and my style, I didn't think that mainstream Hollywood was gonna do that stuff. And now we're seeing it. TikTok is taking over.
And making your own shit too is like that. I mean, the guys on Always Sunny in Philadelphia made a sketch, got it picked up as a show. So boom, we'll be seeing you on Hulu.
Hopefully. That's a dream. Ranjib the Magnificent. So.
Okay. And is that, have you done episodes that you posted?
I have, and I haven't. I'm about to post a few new episodes starting 2025. Okay. I think the last one we posted was 2021.
Oh wow! So you're bringing it back.
It's been on a hiatus.
Okay,
and we've had so much turnover.
Where can I and other people find that?
Ranjib the Magnificent on YouTube.
Okay,
Ranjib RANJEEB.
Okay, Ranjib Magnificent.
Okay, Ranjib.
Ranjib. Okay,
Ranjib, and then
that's
on
awesome.
I'm posting a lot more clips on Instagram and YouTube.
Okay.
About to start a TikTok.
Sweet.
Abe Parr is my Instagram.
Parr.
Parr. Not my real last name, but way easier than.
Okay, I never asked you that. I was curious. I'm like, is that an Indian last name?
No, so my full name.
It's like Jack Parr is like a famous Tonight Show host.
My full name is Parvatiar.
Okay.
So it's just a shortened version.
Yeah.
But I remember growing up in school.
Yeah.
I shortened it. And growing up in the Deep South, I always knew when it was my turn
Sure,
to
they're
in
like
roll call.
put.
Yeah, it would be James Parsons here. Oh boy.
Because it's Abanov, right?
Yeah, Abanov is my first full name. And I know it's me, and I just...
Yeah, Abe.
Call me Abe.
Abe, yeah.
Oh, that's way easier.
That's like Lincoln.
Yeah. That's
Or is it short for Abraham? No, it says right there what it's short for, you dipshit. Yeah.
I remember one time a dude, I told him, because I used to tell people, call me Abe, like the president. This one motherfucker looks me dead in, this is back in the Obama era, looks me dead in the eye and he goes, like the president, he goes, you mean like Obama?
Oh God!
And I'm like, is that racist or is that because Obama is the president? I love
like a president.
right. Yeah.
Wow,
But,
that's crazy.
But yeah, not my real last name.
Okay, all right. So, and is that how they can find you on Instagram?
Yeah,
as well.
Abe Parr. Yeah.
Man, I feel like we could do this for 2 hours.
Yeah, you need to come to LA. So
I want to. My friend Bryce and his girlfriend Natalie are out there. You're out there. I feel like I know one other person out there, but I'm trying to think. I don't know, Conan O'Brien or something.
I'll help you get some spots out
there.
there.
All right, cool. That'd be great. Because, I mean, anytime I'm out of town, I did like open mic in New Orleans earlier this year. I mean, when I go to Dallas, Fort Worth, El Paso. But I want to go to LA and do comedy because that's like where it all started. I mean, that's where a lot of cool shit started. So.
And I would encourage anybody who's a stand-up in any city aspiring to do that, go to different towns, go to different rooms, and just see what works where, and see what presence that you need in different. Where's that internal feeling to make the same jokes work over and over and over again? Because people are hearing it for the first time, so you need to bring that enthusiasm.
That's a good point. Don't just throw it away like it's something you've said a million times before in front of an open mic in your hometown.
Exactly.
Say it like
that, and that's the cool thing about LA.
That is really cool.
You've got so many opportunities. You walk into a room on the other side of town. LA's got 6 million people in it. Yeah. You're gonna see some completely different people.
Yeah. And are the shows, are they kind of all spread all over the LA area?
Yeah, they're kind of spread all around. And so what becomes important is, and I am building a platform, a media platform that helps find shows, open mics, and even creates a marketplace between artists, producers, venues.
That's great.
Even vendors that will come to help event discovery as well as marketplace to get booked.
Okay, that's awesome.
You can create a profile. You'd be able to submit to different producers. Yeah. Producers say, "Oh, cool! I like your stuff. Let me book you." Manage all of that. So
that's great.
That's my 2025. That's what I'm working on.
Project 2025.
Project
2020.
God damn it, Trump! Why'd you take that?
Why'd they take it, man?
This is a much better project. 2025.
But it's much less problematic.
Yeah.
But okay, so Abe Parr across everything. Any final thoughts?
No, thank you for having me.
Thanks for doing this, man. You're in town like once a year because you're visiting family, but I'm glad we got to do this.
And if anybody's in town in Lubbock, hit up Morgan and Kirsty Thursdays.
Yeah,
he runs that.
Yeah,
and it's a fun time.
Yeah,
I will say, when I first was coming to Lubbock, I was like, what the fuck am I gonna do here?
Yeah.
And the first few years, I was super bored, and then I met you, and I think it was 2021 or
2022, yeah.
And
the first year I was doing stand up.
Yeah, and since then I've been like, okay, cool.
Yeah,
I got stuff to do.
Hey, yeah, exactly. So and you're gonna be headlining for us at Bar PM. This will come out after that, but I'm sure we had a great time. So Thanksgiving show. But hey, thanks everybody. Breaking Hyman. Check out Abe.
Peace.